What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in today's video, lots of stuff going on Global today. First of all, you guys are going to be seeing a video of the Kizuna Clash. I have, how many is that? 6 different teams for you guys in this video today. I've got 3 free-to-play teams, 1 for each color. And then I've got my personal teams that I'm using against each boss color for this upcoming Kizuna. Now, one thing to also note is that the dual unit, Chopper and Law, is actually available in the Kizuna Exchange. So you can go ahead and pick this guy up. I talked about him in a video a couple of days ago. He's not the best unit in the game, I will admit. You can get copies of him in the Kizuna Exchange, so you can rainbow him out. As you can see, I'm not fully rainbowed, but I'm pretty close. I don't recommend feeding candies to him. It's just because I felt like it. It's just kind of a meme. But the unit is not that great. But there is this character right here. The actual boss Kizuna character, Shirahoshi, is available in the Exchange as well. You want to make sure you get all of her limit break materials in the Kizuna Exchange before you go to the next box, of course. And as for her special ability and why you want to go ahead and max her out, she's actually pretty goddamn good. It actually says it'll go ahead and make Psi and Int characters' type slots have matching slot effects for 3 turns, so beneficial orb enable for multiple turns is always going to be useful to have. She'll also go ahead and boost Psi and Int characters' orbs by 1.75 times for 1 turn, and if your crew lands 3 perfect strikes in this turn, doubles Psi and Int character slot effects in the next turn. Such a great special ability for Psi and Int teams specifically, allowing you to get multiple turns of matching slots and also getting orb boost as well. So this Shirahoshi is like freaking awesome. She does have crewmate abilities as well, makes Psi and Int characters recovery slots have matching slot effects, and then her secondary one, when you limit break her, makes tandem slots matching for Psi and Int. So really good. And she does have a support ability supporting the Psi type characters. 8% base stats are added to those characters. Captain ability isn't really that great. It's very similar to the legend Shirahoshi in many aspects, but not really too great. But her special ability is the main reason why you want to max this character out. She's Strike and Free Spirit as well, which not too many Shirahoshi characters are actually multi-class characters. So you should definitely go ahead, get into this Kizuna, max her out. And another thing to quickly note before we go ahead and get into the teams is that the actual exchange itself has something very interesting. So if we go to the treasure list and see box 7 has 600 items in it, and there are 6 of each of the tablets. This is a pretty good opportunity, guys, to go ahead and pick up some of these tablets. Like if there's any Kizuna that you're going to go ahead and spend your Kizuna potions on, I think it's going to be this one, because box 7 looks very good. So make sure you go ahead, farm up this Kizuna, max your Shirahoshi, max your Law and Chopper. But without further ado, let's get into the teams. Alright, so getting into the swing of things, the first boss variation is the Psi variation. The first team you're seeing here is the free-to-play team. We'll go over the team that I am actually using against this boss in the next clip here. But for this team, you want to predominantly build your teams of fighters, shooters, and strikers in order to get that cooldown reduction on stage 1. On stage 2, you have Robin, which has around 700,000 HP, with a preemptive attack that's very annoying to deal with because there is 5 turns of remove SFX, which is the blindness debuff, and 5 turn 3-hit perfect barrier. So a really good thing here is to bring a character that has a sailor ability that can remove the blindness debuff. There are a bunch of them. Make sure to check out the database and filter through some of those characters that you might want to use, such as Dual Luchikaku. That's another really good option. I'm using Holloway Nami in this particular instance here because on the final boss stage, you can't use a color affinity boost. So I'm going to be using Nami to use her perfect buff to get a color affinity in the final boss stage. So Holloway Nami is a really good character for this particular boss fight. So after you take down stage 2, you move on to stage 3, which is against Chopper. Chopper has 7.5 million, and obviously that scales as it goes. Preemptive attack of defense down immunity, 5 turns paralysis, and all of your orbs are changed to badly matching. And he does obviously interrupt when you HP cut him, and he'll heal back to full. And as I said, he does do something upon color affinity activation. Not really too sure what that is. Unfortunately, this particular Kizuna was not reported on that much when it debuted on Japan. So unfortunately, I don't have much information for you guys, but just note that it's better to use color affinity on stage 2 and carry it into this stage, such as like Stampede Robin Rare Recruit is a pretty good option, or Halloween Nami, which is a really good option because you can use her sailor ability to resist the blindness given on stage 2. So now we move on to the Psy variation with my particular team. So this team is utilizing V2 Akainu as the captain. That is very important because Halloween Nami requires your captain to be a shooter in order to get the color affinity to actually activate. So you could use V2 Akainu like I'm using here. You could use Legend Frankie, for example. You could use Capone, depending on what you want to do. I'm also utilizing a Halloween Ace friend captain because he's got a really good multiplier and a 2.5 times attack special, so it's hard to pass that up. We've also got Otama here as well. Otama's really good because she's boosted for this event and she's a fighter, so she's boosted by both Akainu and Ace captains, and she can remove the paralysis that gets inflicted on stage 3. We've also got Raid Lucci in the bottom corner there because he is a self-procking delayed conditional boost because you can delay the enemy on stage 3, which is very good. And then we've got Big Mom V2 for her stat boost and 3.5 times chain lock. So that's pretty much how this team is working out, but we'll go ahead and move on to the strength variation. The secondary boss is the strength boss. Now, in this particular boss fight, you want to go ahead and build a team of quick, Psy, and int characters in order to get that cooldown reduction on stage 1. Stage 2 is against Jewelry Bonnie with around 700,000 HP, and her preemptive attack puts up a 3-turn % damage reduction buff. And of course, with all of the stage 2 bosses, if you don't kill them in 3 turns, you get a bunch of special rewind, which is not very good. But Jewelry Bonnie, pretty easy to deal with because you can just go ahead and use the new treasure map character that just debuted, Treasure Map O'Robbie, to go ahead and remove the % damage reduction. I believe the % damage reduction isn't that significant. I think if you have a relatively high multiplier, you can just normal attack through it. But it is a little safer, obviously, to go ahead and get rid of that. And then we can move on to the final boss stage, which is against Chopper, who's obviously the strength boss. He has a preemptive attack of defense down immunity and all poison immunity. So you can't bring like Magellan to go ahead and toxic him and get a conditional boost. You can't do any defense down immunity removal. But the thing is here is that the Chopper also has a defense up buff. So you need to bring someone to remove enemy defense up. Like Raid Carrot in this particular team is able to do that. And you obviously with the same thing here, whenever you health cut him, he'll heal back to full. And do not activate a chain lock buff on your crew because this point Chopper will activate a special interrupt. Unfortunately, I don't know what that is, but we do know that you're not supposed to be using a chain lock on this particular stage here. But either way, I'll go ahead and show you guys the team that I am using after this team concludes. So my particular team for this boss fight utilizes a bunch of boosted characters. Every single character on this particular team is boosted in this Kizuna, aside from the limited rare recruit Vivi on this team. Now the main reason for it is why we have Vivi is because we can use her special in stage 2, and if you hit 2 perfects, you can get a 3 times chain lock in the next room. So that's why we use that, because you can't use a chain lock on stage 3 itself. We've got Komurasaki to give us a full board of either quick or int slots, and remember there is an int slot barrier on the enemy side of the field, which is why, you know, having Komurasaki as a friend captain is so good here, because she basically guarantees you to get an int slot, and even if you don't get an int slot, you can reset the app in order to use her special again and change the randomization of orbs to either get quick or int slots. We've also got Onami obviously as a captain here, because you can use her special ability with full HP to remove the defense down immunity, as well as reducing the enemy's defense, as well as providing that 2 times conditional attack boost, which is great. And then we've got Okiku, of course, to go ahead and give us the color affinity, and we also have Treasure Map Robin to remove the % damage reduction that gets applied on stage 2. So that's the way that this team works. Pretty straightforward, lots and lots of damage. This team can easily do over 100 million damage. The Akainu team you guys just saw a little bit ago, the Psy variation team, that team can also do over 100 million damage. But now we'll go ahead and talk about the most difficult of the bosses, which is the Dex variation. So now we're moving on to the final boss, which is the Dex variation. In my opinion, this is the most difficult to build a team for. On stage 1, you get cooldown reduction for slashers, strikers, and cerebral. Make sure to build a team around those particular classes. On stage 2, you have Law, who's a Dex character. He has 700,000 HP, and he has a preemptive attack of applying 8 turns of despair to your team. So you need someone that can remove about 5 turns of it. If you've got max sockets for despair, you can just completely get around that with a 5-turn removal. In this particular team, we've got Colosseum Neptune. There are a bunch of different characters you can bring for this particular example. You'll see how we get rid of it when I go into my personal team for this, because we don't even need to bring a despair remover with the team that I am using. And then after you get rid of Law and get rid of that despair, you move on to the final boss, which is Chopper, who will have defense down immunity once again, but you can actually poison him and delay him on the final boss, which is pretty cool. The final boss Chopper will also have 2 turns of damage threshold. 5 turns of a negative chain lock is going to be applied to your team. 1 turn of special rewind to your top and bottom row. And all of your orbs are changed into empty and bomb. Now, for this particular team example, you saw that we found the hidden boss, which gave us a full board of empty slots. But just note that the Dex Crocodile that you see on this team is able to change all of the orbs that you get given into matching. So the Dex Crocodile is very, very good for this fight. And do not activate an orb boosting effect in this particular boss fight, which is why Colosseum Neptune is pretty good here, because he has 3-turn orb boost to your cerebral and powerhouse characters. Yeah, basically he will interrupt a slot boosting effect. Even Neko Inu is going to be really good here as well. Use his special on stage 2, get an orb boost on stage 3. You guys know how it works. But Colosseum Magellan's really good for this fight too, because he can remove the threshold as well as give you a conditional boost, which is really, really good too. So anyways, that's the way that the free-to-play team rolls, and I'll show you guys the team that I am using against the Dex variation. So my team is essentially a full cerebral team, but we do actually have Colosseum Magellan on here once again, just because he is very, very useful for this boss fight. We are running CatDog as the captain here, and then we're running Sabo Koalla as the friend captain, and this allows us to get lots of different buffs with these particular characters. They just work so, so well together. We are running V1 Katakuri without his super evolution as a sub. Main reason for that is because we can use his special ability to go ahead and rewind our specials that when we reach stage 3. And we can also go ahead and just get a massive amount of type advantage with him as well, which will do a lot of extra damage. Then we've also got the Crocodile once again to change the orbs that we get given into matching on the final boss stage, as well as apply his chain buffing mechanic. We also have the color affinity boost from Vivi and Rebecca. Now you can use their switch ability to get a 2.5 times chain lock. However, you cannot use the chain lock of Vivian Rebecca and Crocodile in the same turn, and you do actually get more damage from the chain lock effect of Crocodile. So what I would suggest is to switch into Rebecca on stage 2 and then carry that into stage 3. Do not worry about the switch effect of Vivian Rebecca here, but they're really good for applying the color affinity, which can be very, very useful for getting lots of damage output against the final boss Chopper. But that's going to wrap up this video today, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video today, and if you guys did, make sure to leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. But other than that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.
Imma sugu shasatsu shiro.